We are expecting another press conference from authorities in Colorado Springs in the next hour, including the area's district attorney, Michael Allen. I spoke with him just moments ago about the state of their investigation. Thank you so much for joining us, and my condolences to you and your community.
Thank you so much for those kind words. It's been tough on this community. This incident does not reflect Colorado Springs or El Paso County, Colorado. I can tell you that.
Well, I know that you are working hard on this investigation. So if you would, take us through the charges that were filed earlier today. 5 counts of murder, 5 counts of a bias-motivated crime. What do they reveal about the shooter's motivation? What should people take from these charges?
Yeah, so actually, I need to clear up some information on that. The charges that are in the media at this moment are the arrest charges. Those are the charges that the police department in their investigation determined that the person would be arrested on. The formal charges have not been filed yet. We will make the formal filing decision in the coming days. When we do, it will probably include a lot of those same charges that you just mentioned, but it could include even more than just those. So the evaluation on final charges is not done yet.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. Is there any way you can give us an indication of what the additional charges may include?
So oftentimes, and I'm speaking in general sense here, but oftentimes in a murder case, you might have different types of murder that you charge. So in Colorado, we have first-degree murder, which is after deliberation and with intent. That's our highest level murder charge. It's a Class 1 felony. But we oftentimes will charge extreme indifference murder if the evidence supports it. That's a different theory of first-degree murder. It also is a Class 1 felony, which gives you life in prison without parole. So we could charge those 2 different types of theories of murder. We could charge bias-motivated crimes, which is what most people think about as hate crimes. We have to have evidence to support that. Obviously, we have some evidence based on the location of this shooting and the people that were killed and shot at. So we've got some evidence, but we need to make sure that there's enough there to support the bias-motivated crimes as well. There could be attempted murder charges as well. For anybody that was inside that club that were not shot, that would probably qualify as attempted murder, and we're trying to determine how many counts of attempted murder we might need to file. And that'll be based on, do we know everybody that was inside that club that escaped without injury?
And let me follow up with you on some of what you're saying. Have you been able to nail down a specific motive at this point in time?
You know, the funny thing is that as people, we do want to know motive. In criminal cases, though, we don't have to prove a motive. So we don't always, in criminal investigations, look for why somebody acted the way they did. We just have to have evidence that shows that they acted, you know, with Class 1 felony murder. Did they act with deliberation and intent? To answer the question about motive, we do look for that, though, in addition, because we are all people and we want to know that. And we suspect that we will be presenting this to a jury at some point in the distant future. But
you're not able to say right now what that motive is. Okay, understood. Yeah. Let's talk about the issue of a hate crime, or to be specific, a bias-motivated crime.
Yes.
It appears as though you're saying you have a lot of evidence to suggest that's the case. Can you say definitively at this point that this was a hate crime, a bias-motivated crime?
It is trending in that direction, is the best that I can say at this point. We need to make sure that we look at the totality of the evidence as we know it when it comes to that filing decision. If the evidence supports bias-motivated crime, we will file those charges as well. I want to be clear about it, though, because there's misconception about this as well. The top-level charges are going to be the murder charges. They're the ones that will give us the biggest option for sentencing. The bias-motivated crimes, the highest we can go is a Class 4 felony, which is much less than that top-level charge of murder. So these are just add-on charges, but if the evidence supports it, I think it's going to be important to include those charges as well, even if it doesn't affect the outcome on sentencing.
Okay, I want to ask you about the suspect and what we're learning about him. The Colorado Springs police chief said that the suspect was not speaking to investigators. Is that still the case? And how does that complicate your ability to investigate this?
So actually, that's an area that I'm not going to comment on. Okay. You know, as Americans, we all have a constitutional right to remain silent if we decide to, and we can't then use that silence against the person. So I'm going to ensure that this person has those rights protected by the Constitution. We'll have a fair trial process, and a lot of that stuff will come out at the appropriate time. But we have to be careful that we're not trying this case in the media as well. So I'm going to refrain from commenting on that.
Understood. Can you tell us, is the suspect's family being cooperative with your investigation?
That's another thing that I think is too close to the heart of the investigation. Again, we want to protect that investigation and subsequent prosecution effort. So unfortunately, I would prefer to not give that information at this point.
We understand that someone who matches the shooter's name and age was the source of a bomb threat in 2021. And we just want to be very specific. Can you confirm that that's the same person?
So unfortunately, I'm going to give you an answer that's not going to be very satisfying, but I'm going to give it with some clarifying information to help you understand why I'm giving the answer that I'm giving. Colorado has a very restrictive sealing statute, meaning that if somebody is charged in a crime and that case is subsequently dismissed for whatever reason, whether the prosecution dismisses it or the court decides they need to dismiss it, that case is automatically sealed. The sealing statute specifically says that our response to questions on that hypothetical scenario I just gave you is that no record exists. I cannot talk to you about that other than I've seen the media reports about a press release that the sheriff's office gave out last year about the incident that you're talking about. And that's as far as I can go at this particular point.
Can you tell us, did the suspect obtain the weapon legally?
That's something we're definitely looking into. We want to make sure that if there are weapons charges, that we include those in the charging as well. I can't tell you specifically right now whether they were obtained legally or illegally, but I can tell you certainly that we're looking into that. And if there are violations of the law there, we'll certainly charge that as well.
And it was an AR-15?
My understanding, it was a long gun. Specifically as to whether it was an AR-15, I don't know that I want to share that specific right now.
Okay, I want to ask you about the victims and also these two individuals who heroically subdued the suspect. First, what do you want people to know about those who lost their lives?
Well, you know, the thing that I want people to understand is that these were people's brothers and sisters and sons and daughters. They had people that loved them. And everybody in our community across this great nation deserves to be able to go out at night and enjoy themselves at the club of their choosing. And that's certainly true of the LGBTQ community. They've been harassed and maligned and intimidated for far too long, and that has got to stop. This antagonistic communications that is directed towards that population is unhealthy for our community, and it's certainly unfair to that community as well. And I stand in solidarity with them as we face these types of issues. I can tell you that those two people that you mentioned that were brave and stood up to the shooter in this case, their heroism is unmatched. It's quite simply something that I've never seen in a case, and I've been prosecuting for a long time. What they did was really remarkable, especially in the face of danger that they were facing at that time.
Well, I thank you so much for joining us today. And I know this is such a difficult, tragic day for your entire community. So again, our condolences to you. Our thoughts are with you, and we appreciate the information. Colorado District Attorney Michael Allen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.